Hi there, welcome back to another episode of Teen Time. I'm Terry, and today we're talking about faith in action. I'm here with my friends. Can you guys introduce yourselves?
Hi, I'm Juliana. I'm 13 and I go to St. Mark's Church.
Hi, I'm Helen. I'm 15 and I go to St. Mark's Church.
Hi, I'm Nardine. I'm 14 and I go to Virgin Mary and St. Bartholomew's Church.
Hi, I'm Grace. I'm 13 and I go to St. Mark's, DC.
Awesome, thank you. So, we're talking about faith in action. Can you guys just tell me what words come to mind when I say faith in action?
It's like showing Christ like through your actions, like showing love to people that need it.
Yeah,
I like that.
like talking about Christ to other people who might not believe in Christ.
So, you said through actions, you said through words, which is also a way to do it. What else?
Or you can sing, for my school, I'm in the chorus and we go to a retirement home and we sing for others. It can be hymns or it can be just songs about God.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Not only with our actions, not only with our words, but also with our talents. Any other thoughts, Nardine?
I want to add on to what Juliana was saying. I think it's important to say through your words, to go around and tell people how Christ has been in your life and how it's changed your life and the effects that it has on it, and also as Helen said, how you're acting is also important because it represents you as either a good Christian, and that's the representation that you give on people, or as a Christian who doesn't do much, or you don't show yourself as a good Christian, and that sticks to people.
That's so true. I really like how you said representing yourself as a Christian to others, because that's one of our missions on earth, right? Because whatever we do, we're acting as God's representatives to other people. So if whether we do good or bad, people see that, and then they're going to kind of base Christianity on what we do. Agree? Disagree?
Like the way you act is oh, this is how a Christian should act. This is how they love people. This is how they share His word. So just having that positive impact on people can really change how they look at Christians and.
And I think your actions speak louder than words, and that's better. So when you're in school, you can't just go in the middle of the hallway and preach the Bible, but the way you act, it lets others know that oh, this person's a good person, they must be Christian.
People notice the difference between you and someone else.
Yeah, definitely. They will definitely pick up on differences, on what you do, on how you react to situations as well. Is it always easy to show our faith in action?
Not really, because normally we feel oh, maybe people are going to judge me. They're going to think I'm weird, just getting up and saying, oh, Jesus loves you, blah, blah, blah. It's afraid of what people will think of you.
So that, sorry to cut you off, but that's kind of speaking about it. But what about showing our faith? So let me give you an example. Say you're in school and you bump into, you're in a situation where you have to if you do one thing, people are going to really point you out. If you do another thing, or if you just stay quiet, say you want to stand up for someone. If you stand up for that person, but say, let me complicate the situation. It's a big scene. There's a bullying happening right in front of you. What do? Do you stand up for that person? Do you find the principal, or do you just kind of step back?
At a time like that, somebody needs to step up. You can't just leave a person to go through something that difficult with no one to help them. So
Yeah, someone should step up, but personally, I feel I would not. It's hard.
Yeah, it's hard.
To do that. And it's also hard. If there's someone sitting by themselves at lunch, it's hard for you to make the choice to invite them to sit with you or go sit with them, or should you just stay with your friends and just stay quiet? It's hard.
I feel it's hard, but at the same time, those are the decisions. We don't think of them as important decisions, but they're really important because it's us telling everyone, oh, I'm going to go do the right thing. So, I'm going to go do it. It is what it is. You can see me do it. That's fine. Or it's I fit in with the crowd, and once you separate it into those two, I feel like it's a lot easier to say, I would rather do the right thing than to fit in with everyone else and let someone down today.
Yeah, and like just like even at lunch, like asking somebody sitting alone to come sit with you and your friends, like that can really like make them feel like, oh, maybe somebody does want to be my friend, maybe somebody cares about me. Like maybe they're having like a really bad day and they just needed somebody to just like make like them smile a little.
Yeah, it's like an act of kindness.
Just like something small goes a long way.
Yeah, I think I completely agree with you guys. And I think those small acts of kindness really, like you said, it's a great, huge impact on a person. So you guys go to school, you go to church. What other situations can we show our faith in action? And you can like elaborate on those on school and church as well.
Well, I mean, like school, like if somebody's like alone or like if they need help with something, like there's you like always there to just like help them out, I guess. Like somebody doesn't like know where their class is, you can like walk them there, stuff like that.
It's not always at school too, though. Like, if you're in the mall and someone drops their money, like you could decide to keep it or give it back to them.
That's a good example as well.
Or like, if you see like an old person like at the store and they're trying to put their bags in their car, you can just go and help them. And it might not seem a lot to you, but to them, it means a lot.
Yeah.
I feel like when we talked about, self-image and social media and friendships, those all really show too how we're representing ourselves as Christians, because if we're willing to go with the bad crowd, if we're willing to put someone down on social media, if we're willing to be friends with someone that we know we shouldn't, who has a bad effect on us and we're staying with them anyway, or we decide to do something that we know we shouldn't be doing as Christians, then that also puts in the position where people see us for what we're doing, and that's how they see all of us together as a faith.
Yeah, the situations that we're put in, I think that sometimes we don't know it at the time, but I feel like sometimes God kind of arranges it so that we have to decide, okay, am I going to react in this way? And am I going to do this? Am I going to do that? What about, so let's talk about other areas as well. We mentioned before bullying. What other situations at school are like really prime examples of like if you do one thing or another, or if you do nothing at all, it really shows that, okay, this is my faith in action right now. And we talked about like sitting with somebody at lunch. What other places? What about, say you see someone, say it's a test, you see someone cheating. What do?
I mean, you don't need to blurt it to the class like, oh, so-and-so's cheating. You can like tap them and be like, dude, like don't do that. Like it's just better for you to get the question wrong without cheating than to get it right and know that you did something wrong.
Okay, now
Let them know in silence.
let me complicate the situation. What if you said to tap them, right, to let them know? What if you tap them and the teacher thinks that you're cheating? What do? Do you tell them that it wasn't me?
I don't know, say sorry like my bad, just like try to like brush it off. Don't say like, oh, so-and-so's cheating and I was telling them not to.
What if you get suspended? Sorry, I'm like
Well,
complicating
I don't really know if you can get suspended for cheating.
It's not really your fault.
Yeah.
It's so then even if you end up getting suspended, then I mean everyone else knows it wasn't your fault.
I feel like that's why it's important to think about what you're doing before you do it. Because,
Yeah.
as Helen said, we thought it was an easy decision. Oh, you just tap them and you tell them to stop. But then it becomes a situation where it can turn against you really easily. So at that point, you have to think. So, like, you have to weigh your options. Like, in both, you're trying to stop someone from cheating, but in one, you're getting yourself into the same trouble as that person. Or you'll get caught and they won't, or you can tell the teacher and they get caught, but you have to tell the teacher later, or you have to go up to the teacher to do so.
Yeah, like in private after like class, like they say go to the office and like talk to the administrator, you're gonna get suspended. You can like talk to like the administrator and say like, oh, like I wasn't cheating, like I was just trying to tell the person like it wasn't like fine to cheat. So then that'd probably like get you out of trouble.
Then they might not believe you. And like
That's true.
I mean if that happened to me, even though it's the right thing to tell them to like not to cheat, I would like stay quiet. I wouldn't get into it personally.
These are great points, and I'm so glad we're like kind of thinking deeply about it. Let's take a short break and we'll be right back. right, thanks for joining us again. We're back. We're talking about faith in action. We're talking about a few situations that sometimes are not so easy, but we are talking about how can we show our faith in action. We talked about bullying, we talked about cheating. Let's talk about what other examples, because there's so many that we can think of in our daily lives.
Well, I mean, like at school, a lot of people curse and they shout curse words at each other, and you kind of like, I mean, you kind of just get numb to it. Like, you don't really like, it doesn't affect you that much, but that doesn't mean that you should go and do it too.
Okay. What does
Another
everybody
example.
else think? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Another example could be like if someone drops their books like on the way going up the stairs in school, you could like help them, or you could just keep walking on. If I was in that situation, I'd help them because they're like carrying a lot of stuff and they need to get to their next class.
And I also like want someone to help me if that happened to me. So like if I want somebody to do that to me, then I should do it to someone first to like.
To help them out. I wanted to go back to the example about curse words. So your point was that that you don't have to do it as well, right? But that it doesn't affect you. Do you think curse words affect us at all when we hear it so much?
We take it that it doesn't, but it does, because the people we're surrounding ourselves with, we have to, if we're going to school, it's not like we can say, oh, I'm going to stay away from them, because it's inevitable that we're going to hear it from at least one person around us, and it's hard to avoid it. So we take it as it's normal, it's fine, that's what people do all the time. And in reality, we're not thinking about the fact that we're not supposed to curse, and it's not something that as Christians we should be doing.
Yeah, like what Nardine said, like you kind of get numb to it, and then like you realize like, oh, this is really bad, and like you shouldn't be doing that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. So true. Yeah, I think it is very true, because it's so easy to kind of be numb, be desensitized, and just think it's normal, but it's
Yeah,
really not.
speaking up and saying like it doesn't matter like what you do like alone in your free time, but if it would be like better if you didn't do that like near me.
Yeah.
So like people know like that's not something that you want to be listening to.
Yeah. And would you agree that if you kind of told somebody that, you could get kind of a few reactions? You can get reaction like, oh, that's so dumb or whatever, or you can get like, okay, I respect that, I won't say that in front of you.
Well, like if I told someone, oh, don't curse like that, that's wrong, then they would probably, like someone from my school, they would probably be like, oh, just like shut up, don't talk, like I don't want.
They wouldn't
your
take you
opinion."
seriously.
Yeah.
That's another issue too. Like the difference between some people who see it as, oh wow, they're careful and they think about everything, or the person that goes, oh, they're annoying, or they don't know how to, loosen up. They don't know how to. They're so uptight and they're such a strict person. How do they, blah blah blah, and it just goes on from there.
Mm-hmm. I know we kind of sidetracked and talked about like curse words, but I think it also ties in because we're put in that situation a lot, and how do we show our faith in those situations? Any other situations that you think that are really prime examples of showing our faith?
Like what Juliana said, like if you see someone like that like looks like they need help, or like if they drop their money, just like small stuff like that just really like affects someone. Like if you if somebody drops their money and you give it to them, like I'd be like, wow, how could you like not like keep that for yourself? Like that's really like great that you would do something like that. Mm-hmm. Like if somebody did that to me, I would be like really like surprised.
Yeah, I think it's so true, and it just makes me think of like we are called to not be worldly or not be a part of the world. Like we are called to follow the way of Christ and do what Christ would do. And sometimes, many times actually, what Christ would do is not what people would do in the world. So I think that's really
You could
true.
just be like, oh, it's $1. Like what am I gonna do with it? I'll just keep it. So
Yeah, exactly.
like instead of giving it back.
Like trying not to follow the crowd. It's hard, but I guess it's worth it, because when you're following the crowd, that means like you're not really showing your faith and you're not reflecting who God wants you to be. If you're just following what everyone else is doing, you're like, oh yeah, this is normal, this is regular, like it's okay if I do it.
Exactly. Yeah, it's so true. I think like trying not to go with the norm or trying to do what God commanded us to do is so important. Why do you think we really need to put our faith in action?
Some people really like need someone to like show like what Christ like what Christ would do. Like having like someone like on earth to tell them like, oh, like that's probably like not okay, or like showing them like, oh, you can like do this to help someone and it's like really easy, but it's just like showing like the love.
It's how we get more people to see Christ, and it persuades more people to see why you do that, or who's helping you do that, or what power do you have from doing that, and how do you know how to do that.
Yeah, definitely. It's like evangelism. It's like showing people who Christ is and showing, like you said, showing Christ's love so that they can also experience and taste Christ's love.
And being like humble about it. Don't be like, oh, I gave him back his $5. Like,
And our job is like pretty much to reflect our like what we believe in. So if you believe that I need to do the right thing, then like do it and reflect on your actions like that. But if you believe, oh, it's no big deal, like it doesn't really matter, then that's how people are gonna think of you.
Exactly.
Again, it's like an act of kindness, and it shows how much like we love Christ and how God, He loves us.
And just building on your point, like because Christ loves us so much, we wanna share His love with everyone. So true. What is the end result when we put our faith in action? Like what ends up happening? We kind of touched on it, but
it just shows people like the love like that Christ gives us that we just want to share with everyone else.
We just, yeah, what Helen said, we just showed someone what it meant like to be a Christian and following Christ, and that's big because we're helping more people to see the right way to go in life, and we're helping them to get to heaven to be with God as well, and that's important.
Yeah. You just spread kindness, and that generally makes the world better. Even though it's hard to do that, you still have to try. And just by trying and trying to do the right thing, then you get credit for it in heaven. But if you don't try at all, then like you don't.
and God, I agree, and God definitely gives us the strength to do it, to do the right thing when we ask Him.
It's a domino effect too, so you do it to one person is going to be persuaded to do it to a few other people, and those few other people are going to want to pass it on.
Exactly. Now I have another question. We don't only show Christ like in school and like outside the home, but what about inside the home? Like for example, say my sister's giving me a really hard time, or my brother is just driving me crazy. I can do two things. I can get really mad and scream and like whatever, or what's the other reaction?
Just like calm down and just like if you really can't control yourself, just like leave the room. You don't need to like go off on them. And like once you're like calmed down and ready to talk, then you can go say like, oh, I'm sorry for this and that. Like, can we like figure this out?
Yeah, that happens a lot because I have siblings, so it happens a lot. So I can either choose to like blow up in their face or just to calm down and like just leave them alone. But it's kind of hard not to, especially when they're really like making you angry or annoyed.
Yeah, it's hard to take control of like how you feel a lot.
You definitely need to pray for grace like for that moment.
Yeah.
Amazing points, guys. We're going to take another short break and we'll be right back. All right, thanks for joining us again. We're talking about faith in action on Teen Time. So we talked a little bit about what is faith in action, how can we show our faith in action, the different places we show it, the different situations. We talked about how it's not only in our school and outside the home, but also inside the home as well. We talked about what kind of things can we do and what's the end result that we show our faith in action. And we said when we do that, we're showing Christ's love and we're showing Christ to others. Any other points that I missed that you guys want to add?
And it's like hard like to it's hard to yell at like even if you have like younger siblings like Juliana's younger sister. Like it's hard if they're like really annoying you.
Yeah, it's not always easy to kind of show our faith in action, not only like in the situation with siblings, but also outside the home, also in school. So definitely praying for grace in those moments is really important.
And it's really difficult in general just to to stand up and decide to say, okay, I'm gonna do the right thing today. Like that's really hard to do because you just want to be accepted and fit in. But when you do that, then people will judge you for doing it.
Exactly, yeah. It definitely takes a certain strength to be apart from the crowd. And I think at this age, we really just want to fit in. We really want to be secure in our little tight circle of friends. So sometimes when we kind of have to make that decision, and we pray for grace and pray for strength, especially in those moments, because it's not easy at all. I have a few verses to share. We have a verse from Philippians 4:13. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Because we do talk about how difficult it can be, but when we know that Christ is the one helping us to spread our faith, to act on our faith, then He's the one who's really going to give us the strength and the grace. We have to depend on Him and not on our strength. Another verse is Matthew 5:16. Let your lights so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven. I love that verse because it speaks as we are the light of the world. We want to shine for Christ. We want to do what Christ wants us to do so that other people can be attracted, come to God, and be saved, kind of thing. Yeah. And any other final thoughts before we wrap up?
And even if you are doing the right thing and people don't want to accept it and they don't want to take it, then that's out of your hands. That's their choice. But at the end of the day, you know you did something good, and you did it for the better of them, even if they think, oh, whatever, I don't really care.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree, you're definitely trying to do it for their benefit. It's not for any other reason.
Yeah, don't worry about what other people think. You just do what you stand for. Just show whatever Christ taught us.
Just having that kind of strength, but remember, it's not our strength, it's God's strength that helps us out. Thanks again, guys, for your opinions and thoughts, and thank you for joining us so much on Teen Time as we talked about faith in action. See you later.